I don't really believe in ghosts. It's a weird preference for what I'm about to say, but I have seen and heard a lot of stuff out here that I have no rational explanation for. Back here and in Reindeer on the very far end, that building and this building are two of the original ones. And I cannot tell you how many times we've come out of Reindeer at night after locking up, and then the attic lights turn back on, and literally, who has to go upstairs and turn it back off? I had a full-time employee a couple of years ago. She sent me a text and said, "Are you messing with me right now?" And I said, "I'm sorry, what?" She goes, "Are you upstairs in Reindeer right now in the attic?" And I said, "Nope." She goes, "I hear footsteps." And I said, "Meet me in the office." And I sat her down. I said, "Okay, I have no good rational explanation for what I'm about to tell you." The house where Reindeer is now used to be a different house. It was struck by lightning in 1910 and burned down and killed a family of sharecroppers that were living inside of it. So the property was bought by a business partner. Howard Hughes Sr. and a man named Walter Sharp had the Sharp Hughes Drilling Company, and they made a fortune. Walter had a brother named James Sharp, who owned stock in that company. That's how he made all his money. So he was building this place, but before he got a chance to get it done, he ended up committing suicide in Oak Cliff. His son Matt inherited the property and used his father's estate to finish building it. And when the stock market tanked in '29, he poisoned his wife inside Reindeer, and then he hung himself in this building. And we periodically see his shadow walking around. And what's off-putting is that he would walk over open graves and through the fences, but always around the original structure. We hear male and female voices arguing back and forth pretty regular. And honestly, we've all kind of just gotten used to it. It just kind of does its thing. But it is very off-putting to be in here in the middle of the night and see something walk through a wall and walk through another wall right in front of you. And opening day is opening day, and the show must go on, so you just pretend it never happened and go with it. I am Alex Lohman. I am co-owner of Reindeer Manor Halloween Park down here in beautiful Red Oak, Texas. Reindeer Manor is, as near as we can tell, the oldest haunted house in the country. This is our 49th season. It started out as a very humble event back in October of 1974. And at that point, not only used the main house, but also only used about 2/3 of it. And I think they opened at that point for maybe 2 nights a year. And as the years went by, it got to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And now here we are with 4 attractions, a main stage, merchandising, photo booths. We've got our food trailer over in the corner. We've been at this a long time. We haunted before haunted houses were really an industry. So we've always been a little bit unique. It's only been in very recent time that there's an expectation of what a haunted house actually is. And in some ways, we kind of help shape what haunted houses became, because there was no handbooks or rule of thumbs back in the day. But we still feel like what we do is a little different than anybody else. It's a very unique kind of haunted house.
Hello! Welcome to Reindeer Manor. We make all your dreams come true.
When you're in a haunted house, and this is where haunted house acting is actually a lot trickier than people think.
Good evening. It's lunchtime. Ah!
Because they assume it's like, well, you hide in a corner and you pop out and you scare people and you go away. It's like, well, you can do that. That's like a small part of it.
Jess! Oh, you're not Jess.
Your staff is putting on a play.
Watch your step by any chance, you know. Come on.
That's 360 degrees.
Well, if it isn't the ghost, you have to tell me if you are, legally. Stay back. No ghost will get me. I'll take my chances with the chainsaw guy.
For the audience, what that means is they're in the show. It's not something that they're looking at or observing. This is something that is being tailor-made specifically to them in real time as they go through it.
This way?
Just keep going.
It's an experience, and there's that exchange between the actor and the guest, and it's very hard to replicate. The 4 haunted houses here, the one behind me is actually the first one I built here. I moved here in 2005 and built my first show and built my second one in 2009 and then bought the place out in 2014. So this is kind of where it started for me. This is the 13th Street Morgue.
The 13th Street Morgue was, it's always the scariest to us for some reason, and it didn't disappoint this year either.
It is full of vintage funerary antiques that we've bought over the year. There's a horse-drawn hearse in there with a real horse skeleton that pulls it.
The 13th Street Morgue, it's 2 stories. You have to travel up and down stairs. There's a couple of different storylines within the house itself. It's inside and outside, and it's a pretty good length of time.
My favorite one was the Dungeon of Doom.
Dungeon of Doom is totally unlike anything else we've got out here. It's a 3D show. You're given special glasses. All the artwork was done by our staff here.
The color and the 3D-ness.
It's a video game themed haunted house. We start with pinball machines and we roll all the way up to the end of the 80s with Super Mario Brothers. We have our post-apocalyptic show, which is called The Bunker, theme show about a contagion. And then Reindeer Manor, of course, is the swan song of the property.
Reindeer Manor was surprising. At every turn, man, they had you somewhere in the dark, too.
The thing that we love most about Reindeer Manor is that it's always different. Not every year is the same. We've been coming here for the past 10 years. There's always some different element that they bring to their haunted houses.
Halfway across the property, so we might want to try it on the southeast corner again. I'm basically in charge of crew, roaming characters, and then the park as a whole. Jennifer deals with casting, actors, and makeup.
She is a clown, but didn't have any of her own makeup, so she just stole a clown face. So we've got some silicone around the edges to act like the cut off skin, and then based her out. We've got some fluorescents, and they look weird in regular light, but when you get her in UV, because they're fluorescents, they glow differently, so it gives her face some dimension. So we're just adding in some blood to sell the fact that she ripped off some clown's face.
Silicone gelatin for wounds.
Now that we've got Corey's silicone on and it has cured, I'm going to do some airbrush makeup on him. Right now I'm going to start with some skull showing through. So we're going to have white right there.
So what I'm doing right now is this guy's going to go in the 13th Street Morgue in what's called the elevator. So he's kind of been burned by the electricity in there. So we've put in some silicone gelatin over his face.
I work in 13th Street Morgue. I do some really crazy stuff. I'm like super double jointed, so I just do some really freaky stuff. It's cool.
Now I'm putting on some fresh scab, and this will get real tacky and it'll kind of glisten in the light in there.
He puts some scratches and blood all over my neck and face, like slashes and cuts.
Well, when I don't talk and I'm not interrupted, we could probably do this in about 15 minutes.
Maybe 20 at most for all this.
20, 25 minutes in total. The blood goes on pretty fast as well. The biggest part is letting that silicone set on his face.
Something like this, from mixing the silicone to the final application of blood, would take maybe 30 minutes. If it takes longer, it's not great. We've got way too many actors to take longer than that.
Ready for the night?
People like haunted houses for several reasons.
To get scared.
And to hang out with a group.
Yeah. To be with our people.
We love Halloween.
People have a fascination with death and the beyond and danger.
This is the suspense. Every turn, you never know what's gonna happen. It's always something new around here.
The adrenaline, of course, and you know, we love being scared. We watch scary movies all the time.
There's that real element of danger built into them, but they still know that they're safe, which incidentally is #1 design criteria for anything you do is safety.
It's fun to us. We laugh. After we jump, we laugh. So it's just a good family thing to do for us.
This is our last year here. That was a very, very bittersweet thing, obviously. And it's not a decision anyone came to lightly, but this area is just being developed past the point of us being able to operate here and do what we do. In a lot of ways, we're kind of one of the last holdouts, I feel like, for the outdoor park environment. We can dig in our heels and we can fight trends as much as we like, but it doesn't really do any good. We are moving to an all-new, I say all new, the structure was built in 1910, but we're moving all indoors. What I love most about my job, all of it. I love what I do so much, and my staff does a fantastic job for me. I love the people I get to work with, and it's a job unlike any other. That is one thing about my life that I can say. No matter how old I am on my deathbed, there will not be any regrets. Anything that I didn't accomplish will not be because I didn't want it badly enough or I didn't try hard enough. It just didn't work out. That is something I can live with. I wouldn't trade that for anything.